Welcome to Dance to Heal. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how dance and movement can bring healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that movement was vital to my recovery. I created Dance to Heal Wellness and also authored the best-selling book, Outside in Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new techniques to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Darlene Greene is a retired Navy commander with over 26 years of experience in executive leadership and senior management positions across diverse industries. Darlene's passion is helping people activate their stem cells by elevating their GHK-CU, repairing their DNA, reversing their aging, and getting out of pain through the latest photobiomodulation technology. So listen, folks, you are so lucky. You're in such a treat. Darlene, thank you for coming today.
Oh, Jenny, it's so awesome to be here with you.
Yeah. And audience, on my YouTube, you can see my hair's up. Usually it's down. It's down for all of my interviews. And Darlene scheduled this awesome podcast time at a day where I am so busy. I'm running back and forth. And again, apologies again, Darlene. I was late logging on for my own podcast to record, folks, because I am kind of overbooked and trying to fit so many things in. And I really think this is an apropos topic today about taking charge of your health. Darlene, tell us why you started doing this, even though you're like basically ex-military, who I love, by the way. And so, like, what got you into this path?
Thank you, Jenny. So, right, when I was in the Navy, so I did 20 years in the Navy, a retired Navy commander. I had my own health issues. I had some autoimmune disorders, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia. So I've always had an interest in health. But truly, my interest in the ability to activate your own stem cells did not come until my husband's diagnosis of early Alzheimer's. When that happened, we went out of country. We went out of country 4 times in a year at high expense to get IV stem cell injections. Nothing really changed. Like, it didn't make a difference. We tried hyperbaric chamber. We did hyperbaric chamber 3 times a week for a month. I actually think that made him a little worse. We certainly revamped the diet. We cleaned up everything. No alcohol, no soda, no sugar, no white flour, no genetically modified products, very clean grass-fed, grass-finished proteins, right? A very high quality fats only. So we certainly cleaned all that up. Still weren't seeing any difference. Extra exercise, high intensity training, leg training, trainer with all of that. New sleep protocol, very high intensity effort to try to get him into deeper sleep. Nothing was making a difference. So when I had a friend say to me, we have tried something that has changed our life. This has transformed our lives. Try this. It's not putting somebody else's stem cells into you. It's activating your own, which are dormant. I did not know when you're 30, half of your stem cells are dormant. And when you're 60, almost all of them are dormant. They're floating around in there. They're just not doing anything for you. And so I'm 58 and I was like, wow, I could use some activated stem cells, right? We all could. And so could my husband. Certainly. He needed all the help that he can get, because by the time we got to this place where they were introduced to me, he was not himself anymore, Jenny. He was a shell of himself. He was napping 3.5 hours a day, falling asleep about 7 at night. We were going to bed at 8:30, to get to sleep by 9. He was disengaged from conversations. They were just too challenging for him. If he did engage in conversation, it was like he was 3 conversations behind. He'd ask the same questions over and over, like anybody with Alzheimer's, like 7 times in 3 minutes. But the thing that broke my heart really was, core to his personality is him being funny. And he was just no longer even trying to be funny. So this was tough. So we started this patch. It's a non-transdermal patch. It is using the same technology of like when you go outside and your body gets the signal from the sun to make vitamin D. It's, light therapy has been around 5,000 years. We've known about it. There's lots of people going into infrared saunas, which we've also done, by the way. We have an infrared sauna. But you have light inside of you. So what this patch does is it reflects your light back into you at a very specific wavelength that elevates your GHK-CU. And that's a copper peptide. It's probably the most profound peptide in your body. We'll talk a little bit more about that and what it does later. But let me tell you what happened for Jim. In the very first week of being on this patch, he didn't nap at all. That 3.5-hour nap that he'd done for a year just didn't happen. And it didn't happen, and it didn't happen, and it still doesn't happen. He did not fall asleep at 7 p.m. at night. He was so chatty. It was like a dam broke, and he had 2 years worth of things to say all in a week. He was funny again. He was flirty again. He was himself again, and he was with it. His conversation was with it. It was more appropriate. He was replying quickly. It was just mind-blowing. The second week, he recorded the best deep sleep we've ever had, where it had been 15 minutes despite all of our efforts. He got an hour and 25 minutes of deep sleep. And then at 2.5 months, he regained the ability to whistle. That's a huge neuro thing. And he regained the ability to drum to the beat. And his blood pressure dropped 37 points. He had 172/94. His blood pressure dropped 37 points. And then at the 5-month mark on the patches, he had lost his sense of smell 15 years ago. And I didn't know then what I know now, which is sense of smell, and losing your sense of smell is actually an early warning indicator for Alzheimer's. So if it's not related to COVID or something else, get that checked out. So he had lost his sense of smell. We hadn't thought anything of it, but after 5 months on the patches, he regained his sense of smell. And that doesn't include like his bald spot closed in and hair grew back and it came in chestnut brown. I have all of these. I have a broccoli forest of hair standing up. It won't lie down because it's like baby hair and it's just growing like crazy. So I want to make sure people understand we have a long way to go. My husband is not healed, and I have to be really careful to make sure it's clear that the LifeWave products are not intended to cure, treat, diagnose, or prevent disease. Even if they do, that's not what they're intended to do. But we have experienced phenomenal results, not only with him, but also with me. So, my story, I was depressed. And I will tell you, it took me a few years to finally actually have it all sink in. My husband has Alzheimer's, and that was sad. But it was really when I broke my foot, sprained my ankle, I was sitting in a chair. I had to ask for a glass of water. And when I did, he would just look at me like, I don't even know where to begin to do whatever you're asking me to do. And getting a glass of water was too hard. So I was devastated and thinking, this is my life now. And I was depressed. I was in pain from my foot. I was having to take a medicine that increased my blood pressure, fludrocortisol, to keep from passing out. Yeah. I had regular headaches. I had a pretty severe case of rosacea and had for years. The dermatologist couldn't seem to get rid of it. I had very dry skin that I was like lathering up with Cetaphil. I would travel with a tub of Cetaphil, the cream, not like a lotion. That was not thick enough. Like I needed the heavy duty stuff. I couldn't lose weight. I was in the postmenopausal state of like not able to lose weight. And I had people say, you're not eating enough. And I'm like, why can't I lose weight? Right. It's probably hormone imbalances or whatever. And I will admit to being a stress eater. We don't have any crap in the house because we got all of that out the door, but I could eat a whole bag of pistachios. Nuts are my thing. I love them. And so what happened is after patching, first of all, IceWave is the best thing since sliced bread. It is the patches that get you out of pain. And it took my pain away immediately. And it took my pain away better than Percocet, Vicodin, morphine. Nothing works like IceWave. And I love that there's no drug in it. There's no drug. And you can get pain-free within 15 seconds. I love that. I didn't have regular headaches. I stopped passing out. I no longer have to take fludrocortisol to elevate my blood pressure. My rosacea cleared up. Now, not overnight. It took 3 months. Cellular regeneration and healing doesn't happen overnight. We didn't get into this state overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight, right? But my rosacea cleared up. I actually had a brown spot on my face, like a sunspot that just faded away. My pores got smaller. My skin got so soft. I will even say it's as soft as a baby's butt, like that soft. It's just, I constantly am finding myself like rubbing my elbows, which used to be crackly and dry, and they're just soft. And I lost 10 pounds effortlessly. I was no longer stress eating. That helps. But there are studies that show that our patches can actually help you increase muscle mass and reduce body fat. And increase bone density, and that happened for me. In addition to not having as many body aches, but perhaps the best thing was my depression lifted. It just dissipated, and it's so much easier to be patient with a loved one that you're caring for when you're not depressed, when you're not irritated, and when your anxiety level has decreased, and elevating your GHK-CU. GHK-CU has been proven in studies for 50 years. This is not a new thing. And you can Google in PubMed GHK, and you can see all the studies. Dr. Lauren Picard has done a ton of studies. And when you Google it, you'll find that elevating your GHK actually increases your stem cells and produces growth factors. In fact, it protects lungs. It restores lungs to their healthy function. It's an antioxidant. It's an anti-inflammatory. It does amazing things for the brain and nerves, including altering the expression of human genes. It induces a strong anti-anxiety and anti-aggression. It induces anti-pain, and then it's got anti-cancer benefits near and dear to your heart, Jenny. It topped 1309 bioactive compounds, which are recommended for the treatment of colon cancer, and it reset programmed cell death of human cancer cells, including human neuroblastoma, leukemia, and breast cancer cells, but it did not affect the healthy cells. It inhibited NFKB-P65, which is believed to promote cancer, and it repaired damaged DNA, and it reset 84 genes to their growth or cancer inhibition state. So that's huge. Then, of course, there's all sorts of studies on GHK-CU for hair and loose skin, improving fine lines, smoothing and reducing photo damage, and increasing hair growth. A lot of people would get GHK in creams or topical, or they would get GHK in injections. And this one doctor said she was doing 4 injections a day and not getting the elevation of GHK that this patch does in 24 hours. It's known to accelerate wound healing, and healing not just in the skin, but stomach, intestines, lining, bone tissues. I have a ton of friends that have very bad gut issues, including my sister who had 6 years of microscopic colitis. And she had IV stem cells. She did steroids. She did antibiotics, everything. Nothing worked. And in 3 weeks on these patches, her microscopic colitis cleared up. And then, of course, there's the improvement on the heart. So it reduces fibrinogen synthesis, which is the top predictor of cardiovascular disease, and it increases myostatin, which inhibits heart failure. So, I mean, there's a doctor who's a 40-year doctor. He's an anesthesiologist. He said, this is the most significant medical breakthrough in my lifetime. It's just the most amazing patch. I said a lot there. Ask a question.
Oftentimes, when I am personally vested in sharing about something I'm excited, I can't stop talking about it. And for our audio audience, I literally was making faces, touching my elbows, pointing at the spot on my face that I cover up all the time because, it's just back from when I was raising my twins and I never took care of my skin because I was chasing 2 babies around the house and also outside. And I think what's pivotal about, and please audience, please go back and re-listen to everything Darlene just shared with you. It was a lot of stories about people who have had benefit from this little patch that I think the public, we're always the last to know about something. And Darlene's mission is to make sure we know about it, how it's developing, right? I mean, before I hit the record button, folks, we were talking about Darlene being able to maybe come to Salt Lake and us doing a part 2 to this interview because there's a headquarters being built here in this area and we want to do one live on site, right? And for me, what comes to mind every time you're talking about all the friends and family that have benefited from is, I'm like, all right, so my having had breast cancer, it's not a contraindication to try this, right? And then I'm thinking about my mom, because my mom is older. She's on a plethora of medications I know nothing about. Cholesterol medications. She's been on this anti-clotting medication for over 20 years, to the point they can't do operations half the time because her vessels are so brittle from being on this anticoagulant, right? And so I'm like, well, I want to get this for her, but how do I know it's safe without her doctor going, well, the research hasn't been done. It literally is basically everything that I've wanted to try after my breast cancer. Well, we haven't done enough research, so you shouldn't do it. How do we handle audience members, right?
In this case, you have over 90 clinical trials, over 90 clinical studies that you can look at. You can see the science of GHK-CU. It's been around 50 years. This is so safe, and there are no contraindications because there's no medicine. There's nothing going in your skin except light. In fact, in the 2008 Olympics, over 300 Olympic athletes were wearing LifeWave patches, and they're not going to put anything in their body that isn't going to help enhance their performance and improve their recovery. Right? There was a podcast not that long ago in September where Ivory Sully was talking. Ivory Sully is a 5-time NFL Outstanding Special Team Player of the Year football player, and he was talking about how he has been on the patches and how much of a difference he's seen, and how lots of elite athletes are on, including Tom Brady, because people are finding that being able to, well, first of all, let me talk about 2 studies. One for your mom, one because of the heart. The heart they did a study at the Center for Biofield Sciences, and what they found in this 6-week study is that participants saw improvements in their vascular system. And part of that, the cardiovascular system, they found that every 6 weeks, the cardiovascular system started functioning as if it were 8 weeks younger. 8 weeks younger and healthier. They did a brain study in 2019, SciTech study with Chevalier. And what they found is they did 3 EEGs. The first EEG was before they started the patch, and there was just red sphere, and the red was inflammation. It was a hot brain. It's anxiety. It's PTSD. It's ADHD. It's hypercoherence. It's not communicating properly. It's like an LA traffic jam. Yeah. So not working very well. In 3 weeks' time, they did another EEG, and in session 2, what they found was the color balance began to change. The yellows, the greens, the blues started coming in. The color just changed entirely. And people were reporting, I'm feeling so much better. I'm feeling so much calmer. I'm able to focus better. And in 6 weeks, they found a totally new picture of all of the right colors. And the study actually states, yes, it increased GHK-CU. Yes, it supported cell and nerve regeneration. Can I just tell you how much I want that for my husband's brain? Yes, it balanced the brain. It improved coherence. It improved the nervous system. It lowered anxiety. It decreased brain inflammation. It improved memory. It improved focus. It improved cognitive brain function, and it improved task processing and speed. In fact, they found that the harder and more complex the task, the more improvement they saw. And when I can cite these studies and say this is a study from 2019, but better than that, I can tell you I saw this in my husband. I saw his whole brain light up. I felt this myself. I experienced the lowering of anxiety and the lifting of mood and the improvement of memory. That is worth so much, whether you're old or young. Sometimes we have those moments of what's their last name? And why can't I remember that? And people begin to experience results from this in 3 to 6 weeks. And when you think about having to reset these genes and experiencing rapid pain relief, reduced inflammation, which is the root of so much evil, the wound support, energy and vitality. Energy, let me just tell you, not only did he have this increased energy and wasn't napping all day, I was in the kitchen cooking. I'm in the kitchen cooking going, I don't know why I hated cooking so much. I hated cooking. I've always hated cooking. And I realized it's because I just didn't have the energy at the end of the day to do it. When I did have the energy, like this little Energizer bunny, and it just never dipped, and I didn't find myself looking for something to pick me up in the middle of the day, it was fun and it was great. We talked about mental clarity, but it also enhances sports performance, which is obvious. That's why the Olympic athletes are wearing it. Faster recovery from exercise, which is huge for me because of fibromyalgia. I don't recover very easily from a hard workout. And you and your dancing team, you guys work hard, and you really need that recovery. And this promotes that recovery in addition to obviously improving the skin appearance. But in 24 hours, resetting 3,000 to 4,000 genes to a healthier state. And you heard some of those were anti-cancer genes, or the things that protect. I mean, that's huge. And there isn't any contraindication. So you can do this with any medicine. In fact, the medicines that you talk about, like the cholesterol or blood pressure medicines, one of the things people that start these patches find out is they need to go make sure that they're tracking, because they start having to wean themselves off of these medicines because they don't need them anymore. They literally don't need like my husband's blood pressure. Like if he would have been on a medicine, he would need to come off that blood pressure medicine, right? Cholesterol dropping, people don't need to be on the cholesterol medicines anymore. So they really, and thyroid, my doctor friend started the patches and she was taking a thyroid supplement. She doesn't have to take her thyroid supplement anymore. So there's just the website actually has those studies. You can go to my website, iamreverseaging.com, and you can dig in and you can read all the 90 clinical studies like I did. You can read the patents on how it works. You can see doctors who have incorporated it into their practice talking about how they have. In fact, one of the doctors he's an internationally renowned doctor, Dr. Adam Shiner. He's a plastic surgeon. He was featured on the Dr. Oz show. He's featured on The Doctors. He actually asks his patients to start X39 3 months before surgery and stay on it 6 months later, because he's finding at least 40% more rapid speed of recovery and healing as a result. And they're just looking so much better. This doctor, speaking of heart and your mom, he wrote a book called How to Reverse Aging, a comprehensive guide to copper peptides. This is all about that copper peptide that elevates and activates your stem cells. Dr. John Harmon, he had a right branch bundle blockage. And there's nothing you can do for that, according to a cardiologist. There's no medicine. There's no surgery. Well, guess what? After 14 months on the patches, they went and did another test. He didn't have it anymore. It was gone. 3 different cardiologists said, that's not possible. Like, I don't know how that happened. So it's really just, there's a reason this is exploding. But I'm talking to you today and to lots of people today because where was this 2 years ago when I needed it? Where was this? I didn't know anything about it. I did a lot of research. And it's not being discussed. I actually found out later, 2 of my doctors are on it now, but not on our Alzheimer's clinic, so now I know, but I didn't then. And I wish I would have had my husband on it then, because we've made advances in areas and not in others, but we have a long way to go, but we would definitely be in a very different place if we would have started it 2 years ago. The company has exploded in the last 4 years since X39 came out, because this little sleeve of 30 patches that you wear 12 hours on, and then you take it off and you throw it away or put it on a pet. You wear it 12 hours and you take it off, wear 12 hours, take it off. It is magical. And it's not that there's not a little life left in it. It's probably got 18 hours of life in it. But you don't want your body to get used to the signal and stop responding. That's why you only wear 12 hours, and it's more effective if you actually limit it to just 12 hours. But this little sleeve you can get for $99 for a 1 month supply, which is way cheaper than the $10,000 IV treatment that I got in Mexico, right? And it's your own stem cells that you're activating through the elevation of the GHK-CU. It's completely safe, non-transdermal. It's like, going out and eating a salad or getting a little sunshine and raising your vitamin D. It's just phenomenal.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So folks, go to Darlene's website. Tell her I sent you. So she knows how effective being on my podcast is. I'm serious, y'all. Remember to do that. Tell her you came from me, Jenny Cohen from Dance to Heal. Because here's the key. We're at this precipice of knowledge of health that we were never privy to, right? I remember growing up and my mom's epitome of dream of me would be that I would be a doctor, so I could tell her everything about what's going on. I could be her pharmaceutical because she liked to also self-medicate. Sorry, mom, but that's true. And like she would pester doctors. They don't do that now, I promise, but back in the past, to give her like penicillin that she was just decided she wanted to take. Here's the caveat though, right? My mom was onto something in some strange, bizarre, non-educated way. We oftentimes can have access to health through ourselves. I do this through unconscious work with the evolved neurolinguistic programming. Darlene is presenting something for you that is exponentially inexpensive compared to working one-on-one with me. Like seriously, I think coupled, it actually is very important. Maybe I'll include this as part of my elite client. You get some of this for free from me. Oh, Darlene, I got to talk to you about that. Because I think what's going to happen is we want health for people beyond what you're even capable of imagining. That's what's going to happen in 2024. There's just so much happening around the world. And the only way we got to start with you, me, ourselves, and Darlene's process and my process is giving you some ways out. So make sure you go to danceandheal.com and you get access to my classes. Oh, and I also started something, folks. If you've been on my Instagram, you get to do live dancing with me every Sunday at 9:15 a.m. Mountain Time. You can come into my Zoom class. Darlene's busy at her Pilates class. Otherwise, I would be like, you gotta log on so we can do some dancing, and then we'll see her husband running around the background, like waving at us, because husbands do that. I have pets galore that go through. And then what we'll do is also make sure that you go to Darlene's website. Tell them again what it is.
It's I am reverse, REVERSE, aging, AGING.com. I am reverseaging.com.
Yes. Tell them I sent you Jenny C. Cohen. I also will post my affiliate link underneath in this episode, okay? And then once you see this episode, please go to the comments and ask Darlene any other questions you have.
They can reach out to me there. They can reach out to me and send an email. They can buy the product there. They can explore a video on each one of the different products. I actually recommend 2 products right for everyone. There's Perfect. Nobody that doesn't have inflammation. Everybody has inflammation. And so the first thing you always start with is X39. This is the patch. Like if you did nothing else, you always do this one. But if you can, so this one is like $99, and in the package, in the brand new introductory kits, this one is $49, and they both have 30 patches in them. And the reason would be because inflammation eats up stem cells. So if you don't reduce your inflammation, even though you're maybe elevating your GHK-CU, which is activating those stem cells, then they're just getting eaten up by inflammation. So by reducing inflammation and elevating GHK-CU, which is activating those stem cells, you're having an opportunity to really have them go to work for you. So those are the 2, and you can get 2 X39 and 2 Eon in a package of $299. You can also, if you're in pain, you want to get the ice wave. So you could do 2 X39, 1 Eon and 1 ice wave. There's a ton of patches. Those would be what I would start with for anybody and everyone, unless there were really specific needs. But you can ask me, and I can not only provide a consultation, but Jenny, any of the clients that come from your podcast, if they would like to talk with a doctor, we can have a special Zoom call where they can do a consultation with a doctor, and I will set that up for them.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Like most times you can't even get into a doctor without insurance because it's so much money out of pocket, right? So do that now, like just do that. And then Darlene, you're going to come to Salt Lake when that new facility opens up.
I probably am. I'm going to try. The only thing that might prevent me would be travel without my husband, right? My husband can't really travel anymore. It's too disruptive, we've discovered. So I'm going to try. I would love to, and I will be trying. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Where are you zooming in from, Darlene?
Chandler, Arizona, not that far.
Yes. So I was just there. So Darlene will have to do another follow-up interview, promise folks, because I want to tell you what happened when I tried it, right? That's the key thing, because I rarely No, actually, I never endorse something that I haven't tried before. And the only reason why Darlene's on this is because I was so enthralled by our initial meeting that I wanted to make sure the audience, because I'm all about sharing knowledge. There's no need to hoard this stuff. We have to get the world at a better place. That's really important. We're at this time where we have to take it. No one's going to give it to us. You have to find and search and implement. And we want to be a part of the lighthouse that's standing up and going, here's some ways you can heal yourself. You don't have to wait. And if you get a sentence of something like cancer or fibromyalgia, or even, I wonder, because we do have cases of long COVID of people really, really being ill.
Yeah. Actually, I shouldn't have skipped that, but anybody that has had the vaccination or COVID has spike proteins, right? Those spike proteins are problematic for your heart, your respiratory system, your lungs, everything. We have the answer to that. Aeon, X39, and Glutathione. Our Glutathione patch is amazing. Those three will knock out spike proteins. I'm not allowed to say any medical claims, but I can just tell you from experience, from friends that have done it and done this live blood cell studies and then shown in 6 weeks' time, all of the spike proteins are gone, because glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. And when you couple these three together, they have the most amazing, the people that live the longest in the world have the highest levels of glutathione. And so I was actually on glutathione before I learned about the patches. I was getting it via IV or orally. Well, guess what? When you get an IV of glutathione, you raise your glutathione levels 27% for 7 minutes. When you are wearing a patch, it increases 300% and it stays there for 24 hours. And so for people who've never heard of glutathione, this is the most amazing. It's your primary antioxidant for detoxification. And we all live in a very toxic space from the air we breathe to the water we drink. And it's your immune booster. It's your body's master antioxidant. So it protects DNA from damage. It actually initiates repair to damaged cells. It improves hearing and eyesight. It's very good for the skin. It's not only very good for acne, but it's very good for imperfections to the skin. Oh, and it regrows and regenerates cartilage. So we have people who have bone-on-bone knees who wear an Aeon and a glutathione on their knee. And in months, they go back and they don't need their knee replacement anymore. They've got new cartilage that's grown in there. It's also protective. We talked a little bit about people with Parkinson's. It helps protect the myelin sheath. Well, if you know anything about the myelin sheath, that's huge. And that actually people have seen reversal of symptoms when they do that. It helps to detox the brain from heavy metals. But the big thing I wanted to talk about briefly was just it gets rid of those spike proteins. You got to get rid of those spike proteins if you have them, because they're just going to cause this long damage. And it may be now, and it may be 2 years from now, but they're not good. They're misshaped cells. They're clumpy and they're sticky, and they're not oxygenating properly. So it's really important.
Okay, so clarification: spike proteins don't go away once you have them.
These will make it go away. These will go away, Jenny.
Well, yes, I meant like without the patches.
Without the patches, right? No, there are very few protocols that can actually knock them out. There are some, but I'm not a big fan of pharmaceuticals. And unfortunately, most of our doctors, and I'm not knocking doctors. They have a place, but they're trained in schools where the curriculum is built by pharmaceutical companies. So they come out, they know how to operate, and they know what drugs to use. But there are times when there are things like this where your own body is so wise, and we can tap into its own wisdom and elevate our own levels to natural homeostasis, the proper balance. It's not too much. It's not too little. You have low blood pressure, it's going to make it higher. You have high blood pressure, it's going to make it lower. All of the right balance. That homeostasis is so critical. There's a wisdom in our bodies, and this helps to tap into that in a way that I don't think drugs do. There's always a problem with drugs somewhere. It's like it does this, but it does that, right?
Oh, well, I love the commercials, right? Where it's a 30-second commercial, and they give you well, and then they have like the 20 seconds of all the benefits, and then 10 seconds of 10 to 20 symptoms and side effects and contraindications and risks if you take that just for that one thing. And just don't know what's really going to happen because they can't guarantee it. That's
Yeah.
basically the irony about pharmaceuticals, right? I mean, and then one
That,
last thing. If you're on any type of antidepressant, I know it's not something you're putting in your body. Is it still something that they can try? And then just a caveat, on YouTube, you can see Darlene holding up this tiny patch. Is what, maybe like less than an inch width. It's tiny little itty bitty white thing, right?
yeah.
So I
It's the
wanted
size
our
of a
audio
quarter.
people to hear it. It's really small,
Yeah.
like
It's
a
really the
quarter.
size of a quarter. And it can be anywhere on your body. It can even be on the outside of your clothing, like outside of a sweatshirt or a sweater. It doesn't actually have to be sticking to your skin. My friend who has the daughter with the rare genetic disorder, or kids with autism, they have sensory issues sometimes. So it doesn't have to touch their skin. And speaking of the drugs you were talking about, the same friend that introduced me to the patch, her cousin is an Agent Orange veteran and had end-stage leukemia, Jenny. And this cousin of hers was basically being handed a drug and said, this drug is going to kill you, but it's going to improve your quality of life until you die. And she said, cousin, Robert, please do not do that. So he did the patches instead. And guess what? In 2 days, he was off his pain meds and out of bed. And in 2 weeks, he was traveling to USS Arizona and doing a bucket list trip with her dad to see USS Arizona in Pearl Harbor, and stood in line and did this tour for 6 hours, 2 days in a row, with no walker and no wheelchair. He has since donated his walker and his wheelchair, and he has his white cell count has continued to drop, and he's living a very high quality of life. Instead of taking the pill that was going to kill him, that was the only option Western medicine had for him. So just have hope and look for alternatives, because if I would not have, I would not have my husband, his personality, we would not be where we are today. He would be sleeping through the whole day. And I would have just basically been going and checking in with the Alzheimer's clinic every year to see how far he had declined. Because the only medicine they have for him causes brain bleeds in 50% of people with APOE4/4, not an option for him. So it really, this is a safe, wonderful approach. There's only one person that should be careful and work with their doctor. That's someone who has an organ transplant. If you have an organ from someone else's body in your body, because this is going to boost your immune system so much. And some, they're typically on an immune suppressant drug to keep their own body's immune system from getting too high. So those people should consult with their doctor. Anybody can consult with your doctor. I consulted with my doctor. She's like, yeah, I use the patches. I think they're great. I'm like, why didn't you tell me about them?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a little annoyed.
Well, again, because they're trained in what they're allowed to deliver.
And they don't want to get in trouble. Yeah.
And they also don't want to be sued or written up, and so it falls on us to spread the word as quickly and as much as possible, really, truly. So folks, I will get in trouble from my podcast producer. Sorry, Kay and friends. I had to cut this commercial off now, even though I think Darlene and I could go on for another hour. Please make sure you like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss when Darlene comes back. Go to her website. Again, what is it, Darlene?
I am reverseaging.com.
I just wanted her to say it because her voice is nice. So go there, go to danceandheal.com, and then let us know how you like the patches. Okay, they're teeny tiny. They don't have to go on your skin. They can go on your clothing. And we will see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to Dance to Heal with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of recovery through movement and learn more ways that you can move your body. To work with me and continue your journey, visit OutsideInRecovery.com. Are you ready to move?